Today I'm going to share a little bit about my LS car and kind of where it stands and like what I'm doing with it. So here's the car. It has a 5.7 LS out of a 2002 WS6 Trans Am. So I ended up going with like Siki headers, the Siki mount kit, the Siki power steering kit, the Siki intake, Siki drive shaft, transmission mount. I went with like a lot of Siki stuff because it's kind of like a complete package and it's kind of easy to do, like just throw it in, be done. But like I'm really kind of disappointed with the headers though, because like I'm not trying to call them out or anything, but the headers did not line up at all. Like underneath the V-bands like are totally, one's like a good inch higher than the other. Not really sure what that's about, but basically for this car I need to get a swirl pot that mounts right here as well for the radiator, because it's extremely hard to be able to get this car to bleed the coolant system, which is not fun to do. Basically this car started out as a drift car I have my S14 over here, which I had back in the day, which the whole plans with this was to put the RB25 in. Here's the S14, which obviously you can tell that it's not getting anywhere. Here's the RB25 Neo swap. That's a whole different story. Anyways, I ended up picking up this car over here, the S13, because my friend Patrick, which this is his car right here, had an S13 and he was using this as his full-time drift car, which has a cage and everything. And basically my whole idea behind this was like, if we have the same cars and we go to the same events, we'll have like pretty much the same parts. So in case either one of us breaks, we can pretty much combine both of our spare parts together so that we can still stay running. So I picked this car up from Kentucky for like 600 bucks in like, I'd say like 2011 maybe, 2012. It was a long time ago. Like, it was quite a long time ago. Anyways, I ended up pulling the KA out of my black S14 and putting it in this car because there was no engine. It was just a rolling shell when I picked it up. It doesn't have a clean title. It's a salvage title. Basically, I drove it for approximately one season with the KA in it. We made like, let's say like 6 events I think that summer. It wasn't, both of us were busy. We weren't really full-time into it. Neither one of us had cages or anything. So I picked this car up, drove it for a season with a KA, and then that's when I decided to go with a full cage. We had my friend Mike Skidlaric from Detroit Drifting Company. He put cages in both of our cars and did a phenomenal job. Even back in the day, he's still really good, and he's even better now, but that was many years ago as well. The cage was. I ended up putting a KAT in this car for probably 3 years, and between blowing them up and trying to find new motors and the turbos blowing up, and it was such a pain, dude. Like, it was so not fun because I was working on the car all the time. Like one time I drove to St. Louis, made 2 runs, and then the engine blew. And it just made it not fun anymore. So that's where we're talking to our friends, and this is kind of like when the whole LS scene started kind of coming up, Hold up. Okay, now that you can actually see me. Anyways, so that's basically when like the whole LS scene started coming up and everything like that. Everybody was really getting into LSs because of the reliability, and they're just everywhere. The parts are everywhere. You can get them at the parts stores, and SRs and stuff like that. It's just, you can't, if you break something, you're pretty much done because you have to order stuff from like Injuku and stuff like that to fix your problems. So that's the reason why I went with the LS. It's been a work in progress for a really long time, for like 5 years now. I'm finally got it back together. I had a BTR stage 3 cam put in it approximately 3 weeks ago. I had a Holley EFI dash put in, which I can show you guys that. There's the dash. The battery's dead right now and it's out of the car, else I would show you. I did all the wiring myself. I went with a wiring specialties harness basically, and then I made a chassis harness, I guess you could call, and fuse block and stuff myself. And I just kind of made this bar. I had my friend Kyle that did the engine work for me. He bent me this bar and I welded it on, made a plate for everything. Obviously I have a lot of work to do in here. I have to fit everything. I'm going to put a dash back in it, a real dash, and get the seats stuff put in. I'd like to paint the interior of this car. I'm not sure what color I want to paint it, but basically that's the story on this car. So that's kind of like the whole deal with this car. It is still 4-lug currently. I'm going to end up putting 5-lug conversion and brakes and everything on it. It has brand new PPM coils on it that have never even been ran before. I'm also waiting on the Origin Type 3 front and rear overs, which I think they said like January, something like that is when they told me they'd be here, which sucks because I have to wait pretty much all winter to not paint my car. Anyways, this car is pretty much ready to roll. It has a lot of buttoning up to do, obviously, and I'd like to paint it. But for the most part, it's running, driving, mechanically, it's done. So, that's the deal with that car. That's gonna be my main drift car next year. The reason why I bought the Z is for the main fact of, like, the last 2 events I've been have been super crappy and rainy, and it's like horrible in a real drift car like this with like no wipers and stuff that completely sucks, like, and no heat. So therefore, like crappy events where I know it's going to be raining or I know it's going to be cold and I know it's going to be like a crappy event, I'm going to end up just taking the Z because it's so much nicer and easier and it makes it fun, you know what I mean, when it's not nice out. So this car is going to be like for like when it's dry, really nice. There's big events that we're going to both go to, me and Pat, stuff like that. So that's the purpose. It's pretty much where it stands right now. Right now, it's pretty much waiting on me to paint it, honestly. But I need to get my stuff first and finish up the interior and stuff like that. That's that car. Wow, pretty much. So basically, look forward to some more videos of finishing this car up. I might end up making a video that I did of like assembling the engine and putting the engine actually in the car. I don't know, we'll see. The S14 apparently, the S14 is probably going to be up for sale this winter. I just kind of am to the point where I have so many cars that it's not like possible for me to fund this many builds at once, pretty much. So I've come to the conclusion, as much as it like pains me to get rid of that car because it was like my first like good 240 that I really loved, that has absolutely no rust on it even till today. Need to get enough funds together to finish both my drift cars and have 2 done cars at the end of winter. Like next spring I plan on having 2 drift cars, the Z and the 240 done. Like I want them to be done, ready to roll at the beginning of the season. So that's the plan. That's what I'm going to be working on this winter. So I'll keep updating you guys and making some videos, hopefully, to be able to show you how I do some of this stuff and keep you updated. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the future.